transcontinental, translucent,
transcutaneous.
Yes.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So I wanted to go over 4 tools that have helped me with non-surgical healing when I dislocated my knee, because today is the anniversary. It's been 1 year since I dislocated my knee and have been on this healing journey without surgery, just getting my knee back to how it was before I dislocated it. So my first goal was to get back to kneeling and sitting cross-legged so that I could position my body for meditation in the way that I like. And the second goal was to just get back to walking in the woods, even doing some easy to moderate hiking. And then the third goal is to get back to running. And it's been a year, I'm not quite there yet, but the swelling has definitely gone down. Really, the issue had been the swelling mostly. The swelling was what restricted the movement of the knee and also caused the pain. So one of the first things which I did share in that earlier video, the video where I was showing you the stretching routine, which I've continued to do, and I highly recommend staying on top of the stretching, is the TENS unit. And so this unit helps to stimulate the nerves to decrease pain and helps the body release endorphins. A friend who gave this to me had already marked on one of the outputs a dot. And so when I bought some new pads, I made corresponding dots. So I knew which pads go where. And so there's a technique to it. And so I'll just show you my technique. And again, what I'm working with is a medial meniscus bucket tear and also no ACL whatsoever. So the trick here is that the pads have a sticky side to it, which is really amazing because it doesn't leave any kind of residue or anything like that. So I usually start with the dot. And so I place that on the area where I feel the pain at the site of the bucket handle meniscus tear. And then I place the other dot on the opposite side. Now it's been established that folks who are predisposed to having meniscus tears and ACL tears have tension on the muscle that runs right through here as well as in the medial aspect. So I place the pad directly on that point. And then the opposite pad on the opposite side. And now the last blank one goes on the opposite side here. And so the TENS unit, that stands for transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation, has modes and 2 channels, as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. And I'm going to select mode. I like the first mode. And so now I'm going to start the stimulation in one of the channels. Okay, so right now, channel 1 is the dotted ones. I'm going to put that up to 5, ooh, maybe 4. And now I'm going to switch to channels to get the other ones working. And so the TENS unit pulses electrical stimulation. It feels a little bit like sharp needles, like pins and needles. And it's to override or overwhelm the nervous system in the area to then help the body to secrete endorphins, which are natural painkillers. So this is a way to help reduce pain in the area. So the default timing for a session, I guess, is 15 minutes. And so I usually just let it go for 15 minutes. But the device also has a handy little clip. And so I would use the clip to just clip into my pants or my skirt. And so I would have the TENS unit just going while I was going about my business. So this was one of the things that I was doing during the year to help reduce the pain, to increase movement. And so I received some benefit from using the TENS unit. This device is under $40 US, so it wasn't an expensive one, but I know there are a range of different TENS devices that you can buy. I also know from talking to my friend who is a nurse that TENS units were used back in the day in the hospital. I don't know if they're being used that often anymore, but they have in the past been used. So that's something to consider as a tool for your healing process. Okay, so while this is doing its magic, one of the second things that I did that I also shared in the previous video showing you the stretching routine was that I used a red light belt. So what I noticed was happening was that there seemed to be some kind of compensation taking place in my knee. And so I mostly felt it at the back of the knee. So sometimes also I would put the TENS unit on the back of my knee as well, around the hamstrings, where the hamstrings are running into the knee, where I would be sitting down and then after a time getting back up again took a minute. I felt like I was 80 years old. So when I stayed with my friend Laura, she was using a red light belt to support her back for back pain. And she offered it to me and said, why don't you give this a try? And so I wrapped it around my leg a couple of times. And so where this is 15 minutes, the red light belt is around 30 minutes. And so I did that for 3 to 4 times. By the third time, I had felt a change for sure. Even by the end of the second session, I had noticed a decrease in pain in the back of my leg, in the hamstring. Definitely by the third, the fourth, it had taken the pain away entirely. It was a game changer. So that might be a tool that you would want to use. Actually, I'm just remembering as I'm sharing this with you that I did the stretching video at my friend Laura's, which is probably why I mentioned the red light therapy during that video. Okay, so that was the number 2 thing. Number 3 is that my intention is, yes, to get from not being able to kneel or cross my legs to be able to kneel again, to cross my legs, relatively pain-free. I'm okay with a little bit of pain because pain is a communication device, but I wanted to be able to get to the point where I could sit relatively comfortable and that the rest of the pain I could transcend just through the meditative practice or through, the natural healing self-help. The next step was hiking. And when I took my trip to Russia in the summer, I went on this 4 to 5 hour hike that was pretty rough, I have to say, but I did it. So the knee was strong enough to be able to do that, which was really great. And then my next goal is to be able to run again. And so when I was putting that intention out there in a quiet moment, I heard, well, you need to crawl. You need to crawl before you can walk. You need to crawl before you can run. So I started to crawl. So first I was crawling on soft surfaces like this carpet, and then I would start to crawl onto the harder surfaces like a wood floor or a tiled floor. So that has been amazing because with the swelling, the kneecap has shifted its position. It's not quite in the right place. And I knew that from when I was doing PT, my practitioner at one point, when the knee was still quite swollen, and she put all of her weight, she palmed my kneecap and put all of her weight and pressed down onto my knee. I could hear it squelching in there. It was excruciating, brought tears to my eyes, but I knew what she was doing was the right thing to do. And so it made sense that when I received that thought to start to crawl, that it would be a beneficial thing to do. So I have started to include crawling into my routine as well, just to make sure that the placement of the kneecap is reinforced through that movement. Because I notice now there's a slight clicking that takes place there in the knee. All right, and the final thing I wanted to show you was the rock tape. And this is actually a kinesiology tape. The brand that I'm using is Rock Tape. This is not an advertisement. I'm not getting any kind of kickback from the company, but that was also the result of an inspired thought. Right at the very beginning, I saw an image when I injured my knee. I saw an image of the tape, of athletes using the tape. And so I thought, okay, I need to find this tape. And so we found it at a local chemist, a local pharmacy. And so then I went onto YouTube. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know how to apply it. So I went onto YouTube to see how to apply it. And then I tried a couple of different ways. And then I've landed on this way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and, you know what, I can start the process. So the tape comes in a roll. It's in a roll in the box. And so I measure out the tape that's going to support my kneecap. I measure that out. You can see. And then I just cut a strip of the tape like that. And I'll actually be using 2 strips. So I just measure that first cut strip over the roll. And so I cut 2 strips. The trick that I learned on the YouTubes is to round the corners. And this is so that the edges don't catch on clothing mostly. Now, it still does in time, but the idea, if the placement is good, to keep the tape on for 4 to 5 days. And so the other important thing is to make sure that your skin is not oily. So the best time to put this on is after a shower when your skin is really dry. Okay, so I've made the round edges. And now the second trick then is to cut the film away from the tape. And the trick that I learned, YouTube is amazing, is that you actually just tear the back of the tape like so. This tape is cute. It's got little fun sayings on the back. Okay, for example, life doesn't have a dress rehearsal. Make it count. Okay. I beg to differ because of the reincarnation work, but that's okay. All right, they're trying. All right, another one is, it's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get up. Another one is, the most powerful weapon on earth is the human soul on fire. Well, that's a good one to end with. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to put the TENS pads back onto their little plastic home. Everything should have a home. If it doesn't have a home, get rid of it. I think I spent only $20 on a big set of pads, lot. Okay, so we'll put that away. Thank you very much. Amazing. Okay, so now the trick, this is kinesiology tape. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do now is just carefully peel away the back of the backing. Okay. Doing my best to not let my fingers touch the stickiness. Okay, and so the trick is to hold it like so. And now what this is would be 100% stretch. I can't pull it anymore. And so for supporting my kneecap, I'm going to bring this down to around 80%. And so now the trick is I've got my knee at like a 45-degree angle. And so now I'm just going to place this so it lightly touches my kneecap at this 45-degree angle. Now it's fairly easy for me because I've got surgery scars that act as a guide. Okay, so I just press that in across the kneecap. I'm just going to secure that without any kind of tension. And then same for the opposite side. I guess I have stage fright because I've never had wrinkles before, but now I have a wrinkle. Okay, and now we repeat for the supporting one. Okay. Okay, again, stretching it out to 100 as far as it will go, and then bring it down to 80. And now this one sits about a centimeter or so here. And now, again, the sides just without any tension, press down. Now, usually this is enough for my everyday moving around. And if I have done it correctly, it takes away the pain, it frees up movement, it just supports the knee. Now, if I have a little bit of pain, which I have been lately, my pain is because I have a medial meniscus tear. My pain is right in here. So there is a way to give added support there. I'm not going to do it today, but what that would look like is that the tape is anchored about 4 finger width away right here on the quad. And then you stretch to about a 25% tension, and then let the lower half of the tape come under the kneecap again for a third support at around 70 or so tension, and same thing. And then you just let the tape rest without tension at the bottom there. So I'm not going to do that today. If you would like me to show you that, just let me know in the comments and I'll show you how I do that live. But for today, for right now, this is enough of a support. And if I have done it correctly, it works like magic. It's like a little miracle. And my goal is that I can keep this tape on for about 4 days. I think I might have mentioned in an earlier video, I can't remember, I'm not sure. But one of the doctors that I had seen here in Adelaide, he had said that if at where I am in my age and stage of life, that if I had opted for surgery with what was going on, given my lifestyle, that it would fast track to a knee replacement. And so for my part, my job is to just do my best to lovingly nurture my knee in its current state back to strength, using other areas of the knee to give it the strength that it needs in order to be able to do the things that we enjoy doing, we being me and my body. All right, so thank you for joining with me, and I hope you have a great day. Movement is medicine, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. And so the TENS unit, which stands for transcutaneous.
Don't look at me.